So, you just started photography. Well, I did too. But I did about a month ago, and I've learned quite a bit since then that I want to share with you guys. I was in the same place that you were not too long ago, and I've learned quite a few things that have brought me from zero to where I am now, and I would like to share that with you. In this video, I want to share how I learned photography quickly and the joys it brought along with it. Hi, I'm Canon. I recently started a YouTube channel, like a journal, where I document my life. I've been interested in photography lately, and I want to share with you how I improved my photos from this to this. Let's get into it. So before we get into the 5 lessons, I want to give you a quick tip that's probably the most important thing, and that is getting outside and having fun with your camera. We learn so much faster when we're having fun, and if you're outside shooting, then that's when you're actually learning. So that's probably the most important thing that I could tell you to begin with. Alongside that, I suggest that you learn a few things. You can learn this from YouTube or wherever. Maybe you have a friend who's into photography. You'll want to learn the exposure triangle, how to shoot in manual mode, as well as the settings of your own camera model. Once you have that information, it's good to go out for a walk or find a cool place to take pictures and just try the different settings on your camera, try and work through manual mode, and really understand how you get good exposure with the exposure triangle. I'll leave a link to a few videos that I really liked when I was learning these so that you can learn them too. By getting out, you'll learn a lot of things. When I started, I was doing the focus in live view where it shows up on the screen, but if you change that to where it goes through the viewfinder, the autofocus is much faster. And I realized that I could actually take pictures with autofocus instead of manual focus, which is what I was doing before. So just little things like that you'll eventually learn by being out and working with your camera that you won't learn by being on YouTube. So let's move on to the 5 lessons that I learned that have helped me improve as a photographer very quickly. The first lesson is that it's not all about the gear. I picked up this Canon T5 secondhand, and it's been really good for me. It's actually a very poor camera in the grand scheme of things. It's a 10-year-old entry-level model, and there's a lot more features in the newer cameras. And even though it's not very good, I've been able to take some pretty good pictures. And initially, I thought I was limited by the camera, but over time, my pictures have improved, and I realized that skill is a lot more important than the gear, especially when you're first starting out. The second lesson that I learned is how important light is, especially for an older camera that is less sensitive to light, where it doesn't perform as well in low light. Light helps bring more detail to your pictures, and if you're shooting in low light, you're gonna get more noise. If you're able to, try and shoot at specific times of day to have natural sunlight help you and be in your favor when you're taking pictures. One thing I find important is if I'm taking a portrait or trying to get some wildlife photography, I try and have the sun at my back so that the sun is providing a lot of light for me to be able to see the subject with lots of clarity. The third lesson that I could recommend is basic composition and photography theory. So this is where rules of third comes in. Maybe you're going to look at leading lines or how to set up pictures in a better way, but you'll learn that with your pictures, it's more about telling a story about the subject and not just taking a picture of the subject. So instead of just going around taking pictures, you'll start to think about how you can go around telling a story with your camera and what ends up being a really interesting picture versus a boring picture. The fourth lesson that I learned is that editing is half the magic. I was able to get pictures looking like this to this with Lightroom, and it's almost magic. So I do recommend that you look into how post-processing works and why you might want to edit your pictures after you're done taking pictures for the day. I find that even if I've taken an interesting picture, if the colors don't pop or the lighting isn't very good, that I don't find the picture to be that good of a picture. But if you're able to edit in post-processing, you're able to save some pictures or make them stand out that much more. So you're able to get those really interesting pictures to be interesting and eye-catching. And the last lesson that I learned from photography is how it has changed the way that I've looked at the world. So I've actually recently got into bird watching, and I take more note of the wildlife around me. I live in Edmonton, and there's lots of green space in the city. So there's many different types of birds. There's squirrels, rabbits, you name it. There's a lot of wildlife that's around, and it gives you opportunity to take pictures, but I'm really noticing the world around me, and I look at it in a different way. Another aspect that has changed since I started photography was that I start to look at lines, reflections, and just ways that I could make a scene or a street look really interesting, as well as different perspectives. So when you start photography and you go from a beginner to a few months in, you're going to start to see things in a different way, and you're going to gain some experience to where you'll know what a good shot is for that situation. If you want to learn photography quickly, I suggest keeping those 5 lessons in mind, as well as my first tip of getting out and having fun. If you're able to do all of this together, you'll be able to improve at photography very quickly, and you'll have fun doing it. So during my journey of getting into photography, I actually found one thing that really surprised me. So having my camera in hand, I took more note of the things that were happening around me. And one of those was actually sports photography. So there's lots of different sports that are happening around you, but you don't really pay attention to it. And I decided to stop by some pickup basketball, some beach volleyball, even some cricket, and just take some pictures. I walked up, asked if they wanted some pictures, and I just started snapping away. And it really made me feel connected to my community and the people around me, something that I don't really have day to day. It's easy to be busy and just go from point A to point B in your commute, but this helped me to take a step back, slow down, and just enjoy my neighborhood and the people around me. This experience was something that I felt to be very amazing, and I would not have had it otherwise if I didn't start my photography journey. If you're thinking about getting into photography, I suggest that you just start. You don't have to wait until you know enough or you have the right gear. Really, you can start with a smartphone or a secondhand camera, and that's enough. You can start taking pictures, and you'll be surprised at how good of pictures that you can take just by learning some skills rather than improving your gear. So I think that no matter what you have, you can get started in learning in photography. That wraps up my tips on photography. If you're on a creative journey or just curious, please subscribe. I will be posting more about photography, as well as some big questions that I ask myself, so that we are able to answer them together. Let me know your favorite beginner tips or what you wish you knew sooner in the comments below. Thanks for watching.